It is said that roughly 1 in 10 people will experience sleep paralysis at least once in their lifetime. A terrifying sleep disorder where the person is wide awake yet unable to move because their body is still sleeping. What makes it even worse is that the experience is often accompanied by hallucinations that feel completely real. Today's story is a first-hand recollection of a sleep paralysis episode that changed someone's life. So sit back, get comfy, and enjoy tonight's Sleepless Night Tale. I remember the first time it happened. Everyone else in the house was fast asleep. The room swelled and became dark. My chest tightened, and suddenly I couldn't move anymore. I opened my mouth to scream, but nothing came out. I was paralyzed, and I had no choice but to endure what came next. Growing up, I often had trouble sleeping. I had what you would call an overactive imagination. I would often find myself in the doctor's office, listening to my parents explaining that I was struggling to sleep, and I ended up being given different medications and diets to try and help me relax. For the most part, it worked, but as I got older, my anxiety made it very difficult for me to have a normal sleeping routine, and I would often find myself staying up late studying for exams or catching up with the latest series. Yeah, I'm a bit of a night owl, but I was used to it. But all of that changed one night when I returned home from college for my summer break. I was making my way back to my family home after a difficult and agonizing semester. The bus trip back home to Denver was long and tiring. The view from the window flickered like an old film reel in slow motion as the sun was setting overhead, giving the entire landscape a golden glow over the Rockies. I looked down and saw a spider hungrily closing in on a poor cocooned fly trapped in its deadly web. It made me feel sick. I hate spiders. When I finally got home, it felt like I was stepping into a distant memory. The familiar colors and shapes were comforting and somehow felt surreal from how tired I was. My parents fixed me up a warm roast dinner, and after catching up for a while, we said our goodnights and I went upstairs. I was dying for a shower and my comfy bed. That night, as I lay in my childhood bed, a wave of exhaustion washed over me, and my eyes quickly became heavy. I blinked once, twice, and the room disappeared. Time lost all meaning. I was at sea, adrift, looking out at a never-ending horizon of sheets and colors floating above an endless darkness. I started to notice the room forming around me. I was awake, but something felt wrong. I couldn't move. The room twisted into a swell of horrors, the walls breathing with a life of their own. I started to panic. What was happening to me? I felt completely trapped. And then I started to hear something coming from inside the walls. From behind me, I heard a skittering of tiny legs, but I couldn't move my head to see what it was. And that's when I felt it, a slimy caress, followed by a weight pressing down on 8 pinpoint little legs. Spiders were crawling across my skin, a sensation so real that I felt my skin recoil in disgust, but I could not move at all. I had to just endure. But that wasn't even the worst part. My eyes darted from side to side. That seemed to be the only part of my body I was able to move. I looked over at the other side of the room, and I saw him, a dark shadow of a man, wearing a bowler hat. He was as tall as the ceiling, with arms outstretched that seemed to span the entire length of the room. I could smell his breath, and a stench of ashes and burned hair. I almost forgot about the crawling hell on my arm, and my attention shifted to the hat man in front of me. My heart raced, and I tried with every muscle in my body to scream. Come on, move. But my body wouldn't listen. I was a prisoner in my own bed. He leaned in, his face a swirling abyss of terror. I felt my lips pull tight, as if held closed to stop me from screaming, and my breathing became labored. I struggled in my mind to pull away, but it was no use. I could feel his warm, sickly breath against my skin as he let out a deep laugh at my peril. I wish I could tell you that I woke up at this point and that it was all just a dream, but my nightmare only got worse from there. The Hat Man did not stop. Instead, he started lifting himself up and slowly climbed onto my bed, pressing down on me with his entire weight, squeezing, smothering, stretching over me. I could feel my lungs strain with every breath, and still I could not move. I could not scream. My panic intensified. I closed my eyes, struggling, crying, and just when I thought all hope had been lost, I emerged from the ocean of waking sleep and drew a desperate, life-saving breath. I screamed out as loud as I could, jolting upright and desperately crying for help. My parents came running, but there was nothing in the room anymore. The light flicked on and blinded me amidst the confusion as my hazy view sharpened. The nightmare was over. In the weeks that followed, I struggled to go back to sleep, fearing that the tall shadow man would return. He never did, but it made sleeping a terrifying experience for me. I don't know why this happened to me, or what it was about that night that caused this weird and indescribable experience in the first place, but it changed me. That was years ago, and the reason I'm telling you this story now is because I thought I'd seen the last of the Hat Man. But I was wrong. The other day, I was taking a coat out of my closet, and I saw the outline of a hat above the coat hanger. I thought I'd imagined it, so I switched on the light, and sure enough, there was no hat. But as I closed the closet door, I could sense the faint smell of burnt hair and ash once more. And now, I know he never left me. He's just waiting, biding his time. And one of these nights, he's gonna come back to finish what he started.
Sleepless night tales, we
Thanks for listening to today's story. I hope you enjoyed it. If you like these types of videos, consider subscribing so you don't miss any of our future uploads. If you want to hear more, you can check out some of our other videos right here. Until next time, good night.